So I'm out here in the field walking a different path that I normally don't walk. Barefooted at that. Walking barefooted. Not planning on walking very far. No, I'm not planning on walking very far. But this is a road. This is the other road. We have all these unmarked roads. And I have a scary story to tell the camera. Scary story to tell the camera. So this is a familiar unmarked road. This is where my house is. But I once drove down a road, and at one point we went into the grass. What, Evie? Look at this. At one point we went into the grass.
Whoa!
And then we started
The heck?
going
Whoa!
off-road.
What the heck?
Now, I had been off-road before. It wasn't that big a deal. I was about 17, maybe 18. I was still in school. I was still in the lower grades of school. I wasn't in no college or nothing yet. And I was a person that they would always pick up to go and do these haunted things. And so that's what it was. I guess I was one of the girls that they wanted to take along because, I don't know, maybe people like a challenge. They wanted to scare me. See if they could scare me. So we went to these abandoned houses that look like something that you could get hurt in. It's a good way to put it. A place you can get hurt in. And we had gone off-road, and we had got to these houses. And we went to two like that. Two houses that was like that. And then we went to this one house. And strangely enough, I took comfort in the fact the grass had been mowed. And I remember taking comfort in that. Like, I was like, oh, it's so nice. The grass is mowed here. And we stopped at this next house, which would be the third house. And I don't think it was abandoned. They had pansies. And I was in this Jeep. And it was an automatic. So I didn't hesitate to say, hey, guys.
Ow! Stop there, Mike. Mike, you stop. Can you hold this in your pocket? It's some emerald I found on the ground.
Mommy's got good eyes, babe. And it's not an emerald, but I got it.
Is it good?
All right, now try not to hurt yourself. I'm going to finish telling the story. Okay, so we got to an area where the grass had been mowed. There was these purple, whitish pansy looking things and these big brown wooden planters. And I knew that this house was like, people lived here. Pansies are picky flowers. They need constant maintenance. Someone probably planted those things this week. It was time to get out of here. I felt like a horror movie. Nobody knew where I was, even though I was right down the road. Nobody knew where I was. I had taken off with some people that I don't normally take off with because I guess I was the go-to person to go to a scary place, and it seemed like all the scary places were close to my home. So it seemed like, oh, well, let's just stop by and pick her up since she's on the way. Just call her to see if she wants to go. We had those old-timey phones back then that some of you will never experience. They're called landlines. And I remember when I made a mistake. I still to this day remember the feeling of my heartbeat when I made the mistake. And the mistake didn't cost me nothing. But I had taken over driving because we were getting out of there. I saw other houses in the distance. Was this a whole community off grid? And what did they do here? When we got back to the grass area, I switched places. And that's where I remember my heartbeat at. It was when I put my foot into the grass that had been mowed, and I gave a deeper thought to the fact that the grass had been mowed. And I went around the car. And that time frame that it took me to go around the car, and just the thought of like all these other times when I would have just like, I don't know, slid over and not even got out of the car. And I was young then, very limbo, very like gymnastic, like, contortions and stuff. I mean, I could have easily moved without getting out, without putting my foot on the grass. And still to this day, I think about it as a mistake. But I never had to pay for that mistake. It was just absent-mindedness. Kind of like, if you're not driving, then get out, let me drive. Because we had to go over this big, tall grass area to get back to a regular road. Now, you see, I've been traveling this road for quite some time, and you see this road is easily maintainable. And I wish the story ended there for this scary story. Years and years later, after I got out of college, after I had worked about 6 or 7 years with children with autism, severe behaviors, I decided to take me an iconic regular job right down the street at the 7-Eleven. I hadn't forgotten that experience, but I had just sort of put it in the back of my mind. It wasn't something I think about all the time. It's not something I think about all the time now. But I had a lady come running into my store. She had a very horrifying experience. There was a lot of construction going on down that road. But that's where he was taking her. And what was he taking her there for? Well, it had become clear to me that God has sent her to me. And oddly enough, her story is one of my stories where I advocate, I speak up, I tell my experience of knowing God. Because God came to me that day, moments before she came running into my 7-Eleven. God came to me and God told me to be ready. And I don't know about you, but when God speaks, especially if you're dancing in a 7-Eleven store where you're supposed to be working at, you're going to stop dancing. No. You're going to stop dancing when God tells you to be ready. And when she came into my store, there's lots of distractions. There's lots of people to distract you in your life and tell you the rules and tell you what you should and should not do. But when she asked for that telephone, I gave it to her. When she took the telephone to the bathroom, I did think it was strange, but I went ahead and allowed it.
Why? Come on. Please, can we go over there?
We can go walk past the tree, sure. By then I should finish my story. I'm barefooted, baby. So, she told me what had happened. They had come in there to try to get her from me.
I'm going to take the shortcut.
I don't know who they thought they were trying to bully me. And you best believe, since God had told me to be ready, that I was willing to do more than normal. When I heard the 13-year-old cussing like that, I sort of realized that the person she was with wasn't her father, and that she was in a bad situation herself. But they had come after the person that was in the bathroom. They had come after the black girl. They had said racial slurs. And I told them to get out of my 7-Eleven. That we didn't allow that kind of talk or drama. And then they thought they would be like all slick and just wait outside in the parking lot for her. I didn't know why I had to protect her, but I knew I had to. And I did. And so when she told me her story, she told me about praying. She told me about seeing the signs for 7-Eleven. Thank heaven for 7-Eleven. I told her, I said, you know, God told me you were coming. I just didn't know what to expect. I wish you would have prayed sooner. Maybe you wouldn't have ended up all the way down here. And I said, I know where they were going to take you. I've been to that place that's not a place, that has houses with cut lawns, that's not really got no mailboxes or nothing. And I told her, I said, you know, I thought it was something that had probably been destroyed in all that construction. But I haven't really been down there. And I never plan on going back down there. And even if I desperately had to go, there's still all that tall grass that even in my desperation, thinking I was in a horror movie, I was too scared to drive it because I knew that there was rocks and trees, stumps, and everything else to wreck my damn vehicle. And thank God it wasn't my vehicle. It's a hard path to go down. So I felt like I had sort of saved her just by being there, just by being attentive, just by allowing her to use my phone in an regulated manner. If she hadn't have prayed, what might have happened? I know one thing. I told her when she was worried about her cell phone because she lost it in the heap at the construction site. I said, I wouldn't worry about that cell phone. I'd just be thankful I was alive. And even though she was afraid, and even though she had been kidnapped, and even though I feared that the 13-year-old was also kidnapped, when the police came, I told the police about the 13-year-old. I'm not really sure if they did anything. They sort of treated me like I kind of, didn't know what I was talking about. And that was all right, because what really mattered was making sure that that girl that God had sent me was okay. She was all right. And she was all scraped up and looked like she had been in a wreck. And that's because she had to open the door and roll out the car to get out, and she had to fight to get out. She had to fight. So, what can we learn from this story? Well, we can learn to always listen to God. We can learn that sometimes an opportunity is not an opportunity, because she was supposed to be babysitting that 13-year-old before they just totally left Charlotte altogether, and she was being kidnapped. And she wasn't there to babysit the 13-year-old. Some of her story and details reflect that, and it was sort of a horrible story at that. And I remember when she told me that she prayed when she was out there on that construction dump site. She prayed to God, and she saw that 7-Eleven sign. And there I was working in the 7-Eleven. And I was waiting for her, because God told me to be ready. In all honesty, when God said that to me, I thought that it was going to be my boss coming in and I needed to stop dancing. Tell you the truth. But, sometimes what's actually going to happen is different than what we expect to happen. Zach, come on, baby. That's as far as we're going to walk. That's as far as we're going to walk. I done told you I'm barefooted. All right, now let's walk back on this road. And you see, Zach wants to take it all the way to the neighborhood over there. It's this like little secret road, right? I think it'd be kind of cool to have a house on this secret road back in here. Far off the main drag, have your mailbox way up there up front. Come on, Zach. Zachary James, come on. Oh, kids. Someone's always trying to keep you in line with kids. And these people who are trying to keep you in line, they probably haven't had kids like your kids. They probably have had those angels, if they even had kids in their whole life. They don't know what it's like to clean up a living room 4 to 5 times a day. They don't know what it's like. They don't know what it's like to spend most of your money on the child. They don't know what it's like. They don't know what it's like to share every single meal you got just because it's like, wait a minute, there's no one here to share with me. Oh my goodness, I can't eat all this. What are you talking about? I got to eat this whole meal by myself. Oh no, I'm a Happy Meal girl. You should have got me a Happy Meal. I don't got no one to share with. What are you talking about? You mean I get to have this whole milkshake to myself? What? But yeah, uh, you also get to experience your life with someone. And that's sort of what it's all about. It's not just about being there when the times are good or being there when the times are bad. It's about the whole enchilada, baby. It's about the whole life experience.